Jim, you mentioned earlier the bear market coming. We all know a bear market's coming eventually. My question for you is, do you feel that when the market sells off, it's quicker, it's more intense, it's faster, and rebounds quicker? It just doesn't feel like we get the drip, drip, drip sell-off that we had in 2001 and other bear markets. And I hate the expression, it feels different this time, but do you think that bear markets are changing, or do you think eventually we're going to have that really long, drawn-out sell-off that we've all been dreading?
Well, whatever it is, I know we're all going to dread it, and we're going to hate it when it comes. Just to correct one thing you said, the Treasury Secretary says, no, we're not going to have any more bear market. The American Treasury Secretary says, we have solved the problem. So if you believe her, and she's got a couple of fancy Ivy League degrees, we should all stop worrying. There's not going to be a bear market again. Now, I know that's absurd. I presume you know that's absurd.
Yeah, I think all of us as licensed representatives, we would never, ever let those words come out of our mouths to our clients that there'll never be a bear market again.
Well, I will top her by saying when it happens, as I've said before, it's going to be the worst in my lifetime. We had a horrible experience in 2008, partly because of her, but it was too much debt everywhere. Well, Michael, since 2008, the debt has skyrocketed. Oh, my gosh. Even China has debt now. China didn't have much debt 15, 20 years ago, but even China has a lot of debt now. So the next time we have a problem, oh, my gosh, it's going to be horrible. So, yes, you and I agree that there's going to be a bear market again, whether it's drip, drip, drip all the way, or we have a big drop and then a drip, drip. I don't know. It will depend on how people in Washington, Tokyo, London react. I'm sure they will react badly and incorrectly and make it worse, but I have to play it as I go.
So one follow-up question to that. Last year when the market sold off, when the world started to shut down, were you surprised how rapid the market rebounded in the middle of the shutdown, or did you see that coming?
Well, the answer, my actions were I didn't sell short. And so it's because I can see that everywhere they're printing. Everywhere they're borrowing and spending like it's never been happened in world history. So that's why I'm not selling short now. I'm not surprised because I think I know what these guys are doing. I don't approve. Who cares whether I approve or not? They have the printing presses and they are doing it. And that's why I keep expecting the rebounds to occur. And Janet Yellen and all of them think, oh, it's good. Let's just print more money and spend more money and borrow more money. Let's not let bad things happen.
So, Jim, let me ask you this, and we know that too much debt and too much weight on top of a house is eventually going to crash it. But for now, I think we agree that the trend is still positive. Liquidity is there. The thing I want to ask about, again, with some perspective, is that the media is talking about inflation being a problem for the stock market itself. We know inflation's the worst for the bond market. You brought up already commodities, which may be the actual answer, but doesn't the stock market do okay with 2-3% inflation? Or are we just used to this kind of 0% nonsense and this 2-3% is the problem? Or is it really just time maybe to be thinking, you said earlier in the show, maybe you're thinking commodities instead of stocks right now?
Well, historically, yes, the small inflation has not hurt. It's what happens is as it builds, and it leads to distortions, and then interest rates build, and you get more distortions, and the cost of living goes higher, the cost of doing business goes higher, and that's called a bear market, especially since central banks and people have to react to protect themselves. We may be there now, but in my view, we're not there yet. And all of these central banks, as I say, they're not very smart people. That's why they work for the government.
Before we continue, help us by smashing that YouTube like button and subscribe now to this channel. This shows the algorithm that you value the information, and it helps us spread this message. Sharing is caring. Please like and subscribe now. Thank you. And now let's continue.
All they know is, let's protect my job. They don't care about your job or my job. They care about their job. And let's protect our job. And the way to do that is to flood the world with money. So until I see some reason, and I won't get it right, but until I see enough reasons to make me say, okay, now the garden hose is closing, liquidity is closing. So far, I'm not shorting. I'm not selling a lot. But I am buying more things to protect myself from inflation. And that, of course, if there's inflation, that means prices go up. And if prices goes up, that means the price of wheat goes higher. That means the price of natural gas goes higher. Things go higher.
So China seems to be taking a very strict tact with technology companies. They're its own technology companies, and it seems counterproductive. Maybe you can give us some insight of what the thinking is, what the plan is, because this is pretty serious stuff from our side, from what we can see.
Well, I see the same thing you do. I don't, China's been a great success for 40 years because Deng Xiaoping said, open up, let's open up. Deng Xiaoping said, if you open the window, you get fresh air, you get sunshine. He said, you also get flies if you open the window. But he said, I'm going to open the window anyway because the fresh air and sunshine is worth it. Well, that's what they've been doing for 40 years. But this guy, for whatever reason, seems to be closing off more, which, of course, worries me. Doesn't worry him. And maybe I'm wrong. But no, I see the same things you do. And I don't know if because huge concentrations of power, rivals have arisen in China. And some of these companies are huge. I also know some of the original cutbacks I agreed with. At one point in China, everybody was going into the business of direct loans. And you'd go into a room and there'd be 50 young people on computers contacting people saying, you need a loan, we'll get you a loan. And then they would contact another person, say, Joe needs a loan, give him a loan. It was unregulated. It was absurd. It was wow. I know that's why they eventually started. They should have started sooner, if you ask me. But what's happening now, I don't quite understand. I mean, the cutback on TikTok. I mean, who cares about TikTok? I mean, no, listen, the Americans were cutting back on TikTok too. It's not just China. But I don't like seeing closing off because I know it leads to misunderstandings and fights. And the more open we are, I mean, you see what happened to China. You've heard of Alibaba. You've heard of Tencent. That's because Deng Xiaoping was opening China. I don't know if it's because...
And those companies all added significantly to China's growth, right? And global footprint.
And jobs and success and wealth and prosperity. Yeah, no, it's been great. Alibaba's been great. Tencent has been great. All of these guys have been great. Now, it's not as though they're the only ones. The U.S. is doing it too. Trump was coming down on... I won't name names, but the Trump was coming down on some of these guys, the American guys, and saying, oh, they're bad people because they don't agree with me. Well, that's the way politicians are. If you don't agree with them, they think there's something wrong, which is bad for the world.
Jim, sticking with the theme of Asia, if China gets more restrictive, do other Asian companies like your country, Singapore or Korea or Taiwan or Japan, do they fall in line, or do they look at China getting more restrictive as an opportunity for their countries to kind of fill a space?
Yes, everybody likes to fill a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum, and people rush into the less competition and more opportunity. But eventually they start doing the same thing. I mean, Korea has a long history of closing off to the rest of the world. Japan has been over-protectionist in many ways for a long time. I would like to think, oh my gosh, it's going to change Japan. It's going to change Korea. Korea used to be called the Hermit Kingdom. They were so close. I would like to think this is going to change them. History shows no. Once they start closing and getting more power, they grab for more power. And the more closed and the more powerful they are, it usually leads to problems.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. We have prepared a special deal for all our members where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active and see you on the other side.